Welcome back, folks, to another video in the Carving X series here on my channel, Woodsman's Finest. This is Max, as you know. I'm coming at you here from this beautiful forest. I'm very close by my mom's house here on the edge of the Austrian Alps. I can see actually a couple of 2000ers from here covered in snow. Not so much down here. It's been a little bit of a weird winter, as you can imagine. I want to introduce another axe series to you today that is also done by a friend of mine from Ukraine, a different forge called WildFieldsForge. Maxim, the guy who is running it, is a very talented, extremely skilled blacksmith with a forge in Ukraine. They're friends, or at least associates, of Svalojic and Sergey. The Ukraine seems to have an incredible forging history and a very maintained skill base, so to say, when it comes to blacksmiths and when it comes to wood carving tools in general, green wood carving tools especially. Now you might ask yourself, why am I introducing other axes of other makers now that I have my two axes out, actually three, the Craft Cover by Liam Hoffman still made, and then of course the Journeyman and the Wayfarer, my two brain babies that I really adore so much. And there's actually a little bit more information coming out about those and the extraterrestrial heat treat, so to say, that I wasn't able to destroy the edge yet, and no matter what I tried on it. But that is a different story. You might ask yourself, why am I introducing the axes of other makers? These here, and then maybe other more in the future. I would love to get my hands on a Kalthof. I've used it with Jonas up in Denmark, woodcraft by Jonas Els, a good friend of mine. It's a great axe. I really would like to get it on the channel, and a couple more, of course, that are out there. The reason why I'm doing this is quite simple. We all started spoon carving out of some urge to stay there, log. We all started spoon carving probably out of some urge to use tools and get back to using our hands, creating useful things, and also maybe a little bit of this desire to use these epic tools like knives and axes that are hand forged with beautiful steel, beautiful edges, and very, very ancient shapes in a way, right? And these kind of forms that are so functional and so ancient to us, they are unbelievably useful just naturally, just because very often they're just following the radiuses of our bodies. That's why my craft carver, my craft carver and the Journeyman, the Wayfarer are shaped the way they are, because they should be an extension of my arm when I'm doing what I'm doing when I carve with an axe. But there's not only those out there, although I really try to put the best of my knowledge out of years and years of using different axes around the world with different woods and different projects into these 2 or 3 axes. They might not appeal to you. They might not be what you really want to have. It doesn't often matter if something is the most optimized carving tool with the most precision or whatnot. And I'm not saying none of these axes are. I'm just saying this is maybe not always number one in your reasoning why you pick up a tool. Maybe you can really relate to the maker. Maybe the shape is something that you really always wanted to have when you started this journey. Maybe you are a fan of a certain blacksmith. Maybe you're a fan of a certain era in time. There's so many different reasons. At the end of the day, what I want you to be able to is not only carve with some kind of outcome, while I'm also trying to teach my power carving and my CCC methods and all the other things that I'm tending to do, is because I want you to, at the end of the day, have something in your hand you can use and then get right on the next project. But I also want you to have a tool that you pick up and you just feel like the Witcher. No, I'm just saying, what I mean is like you just feel somehow taken back to this kind of dream of yours. And this is the segue over to what I want to introduce to you today and in the next video. I want to kick it off with the medium Viking axe by WildFieldsForge out of the Ukraine as well. An axe that is very reminiscent of a certain axe in history that you might actually remember if you've been doing this for a while. Let me come a little bit closer here, and in this evening sun, I hope this is picked up well. Maybe not even that bad to have this kind of evening sun here. The reason I got in contact with Maxim about this. It's not only that we have the same name, but it's also that I saw an axe that is reminiscent of the legendary Rönnquist in some way, shape or form. Let me go over the specs quickly. We have a rather heavy axe here that is 860 grams overall. We have a very ancient style of head here that is somewhat reminding me of the Rönnquist in a few different ways. The blade shape or the blade length is a whopping 15 centimeters, and the handle length is a very classic and very useful 33 centimeters. It's beautifully done. There's nothing I can say about this axe that is not absolutely gorgeous. It is 52-100 ball bearing steel. It is absolutely hair splitting sharp out of the box. Of course, the way it should be. It is forged to finish. We have a nice hanging job. We have a mix in the eye here out of a lot of different Scandinavian Viking shapes and a little bit of Eastern Europe there as well. Well, what can I say about the blade shape? It is a chopper and it is meant to follow the natural lines or the natural radiuses of your movement patterns when you're carving. That is something every axesmith that has somewhat of an idea about carving is gonna incorporate in their designs, and some don't, and that's fine. In any case, the handle is extremely comfortable. We have a nice egg shape here that gives me a little bit of a ridge line in front here that definitely references to my finger knuckles, so I'm always aware of the direction of the blade, which is something that's very important. Again, handles, all of these carving axes come without a steel wedge. That is of course done, sorry for that folks, sometimes it just doesn't want to focus. That is of course done on purpose, so you can take the handle out very easily and put your own handle in, and I have a video on my YouTube channel of course about how you do that, and there's definitely a way to pick up nice handles and modify them from hardware stores. That's definitely possible. What else to say? It comes just like my axes, my Swarovski axes, and I should definitely turn my cell phone off when I film a video. Just like the other axes that I'm getting from my forge in Ukraine, which is another very big plus of those folks there. It comes with a beautiful, beautiful buffalo type, I'd say, buffalo style sheath, which is of course a huge plus. All of the axes I've gotten from the Ukraine so far, Swarovski and WildFieldsForge, has been made in a way that it's definitely gonna last as long as the axe. There is no doubt about that. These are as well 8 to 10 ounces of this very strong, nicely oiled vegetarian leather. It looks gorgeous, it fits the axe perfectly, no question about that. It is all about quality, folks. I want you to be able to pick up an axe for a little bit of an investment that's going to be with you for the rest of your life, and then your kids' lives, and then their grandchildren's lives. There's no reason why these axes shouldn't hold up for that long, and it's extremely important for me that you have the confidence that this is what I'm getting you. One thing I have to say about these axes is that they are quite a thin profile. It reminds me in some way very much of the Landwerke slim carver that I've reviewed in the past. That's a long time ago, but yeah, I've been doing this for a while, folks. So if you want to see some more axe videos, definitely head back on the timeline and find a lot of different Danish axes, Swedish axes, etc, etc. So this profile is quite thin, and that is something that you have to take into account when you're carving with it. This distance here is a little bit longer, so with the thinness and the longer distance here, it is not as stable and as accurate maybe as the axes that I've designed recently, because that was an important proportion feature for me. However, that is not saying that this axe is not something that you can get used to very quickly, and Dennis definitely has a couple of extremely nice features, especially in the ergonomics. Now, I'm rambling already a while about this, but it's important for me that you can build a little bit of a relationship to this whole tool before I'm giving you somewhat of an idea how it's performing. I'm not doing any destruction or testing or something like that. I'm just showing you how I'm using it for a little bit. Anything else about it? Not really, just balance wise. You also have to, of course, take into account that they're not balancing sideways like my axes, but they're balancing with the tip down like that, which is something some people like a lot. I personally like the pendulum on the backswing and then just dropping the axe into the workpiece. So I like having axes that are actually balancing like this, just like vintage felling axes did. Some of the most refined axes ever made, definitely vintage felling axes. However, this is very nice too. It's just something to get used to a little bit for me. This axe is gonna be available as soon as this video airs, actually, from woodsmansfinest.com among the other tools there. Of course, like I said before, not all the tools in appearance, etc., etc., are necessarily what someone can really relate to. So I'm definitely happy to put tools on my website that I have a relation to somehow and that I definitely recommend. This tool is gonna, this axe is gonna run about 260 euro because of all the features finished forged coming out of the Ukraine by this master blacksmith. There you go. Alright, let's get onto this piece here. Nice piece of mystery wood that I just got out of a hedge. And this is a meat cleaver. The axe is unbelievably sharp. I think very reminiscent of the .30-degree angle. It definitely is a beast. It is a beast with the long blade, with a swoop, this like Röhnquist kind of shape. It's a legendary axe, the Röhnquist, with the blade shape really going in line and in radius with the handle. Very, very reminiscent of that. Definitely quite a beast of an axe, that's for sure. Clean surfaces, just because the edge is so perfect. Not even the tiniest micro nick after cutting on this really dirty chopping block here in the middle of the forest. Still shaving. Just incredible. After cutting on this tough hardwood here. This is something you get hardly ever with an axe. So I have to say, it is an amazing slicer. It really removes stock absolutely effortlessly. The edge is 100% perfectly shaving sharp still, which is something like I personally love. Swedish axes, don't get me wrong. I still love all the classic famous carving axes from there. I still have them, I love them, I will never get rid of them. because I'm an axe hog. But I've never had it that I can carve in a dirty chopping block and I can still have a shaving sharp edge even after some really tough hardwood like this stuff here. That's definitely a lot harder than birch. I don't even know what to say. The heat treat on these things is so perfect. I mean, usually after a few spoons, and I've had this axe in use of course before I made the video today, otherwise it would be stupid. That's why it's not perfect anymore. There's dirt and stuff all over the place. But I made pictures at least before I started using it. I was that smart. But in this chopping block here, there's all kind of material in there, of course, from sitting around here for a while. And if I'm doing the same thing with a like medium carbon steel, like you get it on Swedish axes, the edge is gonna have microchips and micro damages all over the place. The polish is gonna be gone. They're gonna be super nice, and then after a couple spoons, you're gonna have scratches all over the place. Not so with this stuff. And it's the same on all the Svadojic axes, all of my Wayfarers, all of my journeymans, and I'm gonna have another video coming up about that. You also maybe saw the story on my Instagram where I was showing how I ground all of my prototype hook knives from Svadojic, and I carved some dry elm, which is really tough wood. And I was doing paper carving before and after with it, and with paper you really see the micro damages because it's gonna get hooked up every single time you go through paper, and there's a little nick. The paper is not gonna it's gonna tear. It's not gonna cut. And so the heat treat that comes out of Ukraine here with this WildFieldsForge, a medium Viking, the same as with our Svadojic, I'm blown away by the heat treat, and so I'm blown away by the edges. And you can also see there is no scratches or anything on here that would come if you have a nick in your blade and you carve something. There's little marks and scratches all over the place. You don't see anything here. What you're seeing is the rays in the wood, but there's no scratches on here. So I am just delighted. Now I have to say that this is 850 grams, or 860 actually, overall. That is something that has to be considered. You will need a little bit more finger strength to keep this axe on its path. The same, that's also what you get if you have a little bit of a wider, longer blade that is balancing very far forward like that. You get beautiful stock removal, absolutely effortless. I have to be careful here not to split into my bowl like I just did nearly. So, and that's another reason why you want to have a super sharp edge, because then you can engage into the wood and you can pry. If your axe is not sharp and is constantly glancing off, you're gonna drop your axe into the shoulder here. And that's the reason why the axes have to be so sharp, and why it's so nice to have an axe with these incredible Ukrainian heat treats, because it's gonna stay sharp. Carve it with this axe very nicely and actually save myself a little bit of energy with the knife, because here I can just lean my whole body down into the axe, which is really part of my power carving and body vise system that I'm teaching in my seminars. Okay, that's about it. This axe is not as nimble to carve little detail parts of the spoon, of course, as some of the smaller ones like my Wayfarer. Maybe I'll just give you a little bit of a size comparison here very quickly. So this is the Wayfarer. And this is the medium Viking. Good lord. Then of course the journeyman is quite a lot bigger. This is my smallest axe, but this allows me very much to get into tiny little creases here, just like a knife, as you can see. I'm pretty much able to carve the transitions here. It's also easier to have this in my hand like that while I'm carving. So this is why this has been really by far my most popular model. Its proportions and looks wise, it's just a downscaled journeyman. It's the same here. This blade just doesn't take any damage. It's unbelievable. You can hear that, right? It's just still shaving. And I've had this axe for 3 months now. Over 3 months. Nearly 4 months. And I'm expecting about the same turnout from this one here. But it is a beast. As you've just seen, it is a quite big and hefty tool. So you need a little bit more finger strength to keep this one really on its path. But it's something you can get used to. Or you're really using this as a stock removal axe, which it's definitely supposed to be, with its long blade. I mean, this is beautiful. I'm not really getting around the corner here as tightly as with my Wayfarer, because this is just not as small of a point here. And yeah, I know we're getting into specifics here, but this is while you're watching this, right? So I don't know about you folks, but I'm pretty blown away by this thing. We're pretty far into a spoon that way, I gotta say. Just with an axe. And this is really what I'm trying to teach and what I'm trying to do. Thank you very much for watching this video on my carving axe series. I hope you're still interested in looking at different axes and me explaining a little bit more about proportions and of course the origins of the axes and the styles and all the little details maybe that I really would like nerding out about. However you want to see it, the axes with or just behind the knife, the most versatile and old tools that humans have been using around the world, absolutely throughout every single culture. And so I'm really happy with this axe. I'm really stoked to be able to put it up on woodsmansfinest.com. Let me know what you want to see a little bit more. The tutorials have been taking a huge amount of time for me, like the carving knife series, how to make your own sheath and all that I did last year. It took about 100 hours to produce, and unfortunately I just really don't get the views and the turnaround that it really makes sense for me to keep producing these very long videos. It's unfortunate, but it's just part of life that it's just impossible for me to put this huge amount of effort into a big series and then not be able to really get somehow turnaround. But it's really absolutely fine. There's great people out there who do it, and I feel very comfortable with my carving axe niche and in general with my carving niche. There's going to be an online course coming out very shortly, also going to be in German. So I'm working on that right now, very stoked about that. And thanks very much for watching. If there's anything you want to suggest or so, let me know in the description. As I said, these axe videos are not changing anything about my collaboration with Liam Hoffman or Svarajic. It's just a couple more tools that I also think could be appealing to folks, so I just want to introduce you to them. Okay, thanks very much. Please leave a like and a subscription if you have been watching my videos. It's pretty straightforward. That's me doing the work for you folks, and if you can spare a split second to press the like button if you like the video, that's actually the main thing that's helping folks who are producing free content on YouTube to get spread to more people who might be interested. So I appreciate you taking a second to actually like and subscribe. And if you feel like anybody else would be interested in this, any axe junkie out there, any carving folks, share it to them. Let them know that there's this weirdo out there talking about axes and knives a lot. Okay folks, have a good one. Cheers.